And we're live. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. It's me, Colin, Project Constitution. Today we have a great special show for you. I'm also going to be on tonight with my guest, my co-host, Stephen Benoon from Israeli News Live. He's running a few minutes behind, so he'll join us here in about 10-15 minutes or so. And we also have a excellent journalist guy we're reporting on here with in regard to the spy plane or I don't know if it's a spy plane, but definitely a plane that was taking imagery and with sensors and stuff over the Charlie Kirk event on the 10th. And he was able to find that information, and then someone else leaked some photos from that plane. And just leaves a whole bunch of other questions. But anyway, so we're interviewing him. His name's Eric Rosenwald right here. Everybody should definitely go and follow him on X. He's got the account right here, Rosenwald _ Eric, right there. Make sure you go give the guy a follow. He's the one that broke this story originally about this plane and all the passes they made over UVU that day, even what kind of sensors and tracking the flights and everything. He done a lot of great work. And then once someone published the pictures that we were able to find, he posted them as well here. So he's got a lot of good information that you definitely want to go check out. And he's following up with this. He's actually talked to the guy that released the photos and everything. So he's going to be giving you updates. So make sure you go follow him. So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce him. So Eric, nice to meet you, my friend. Welcome to the show.
You too. Thanks for having me. Real quick, is my video a little bit laggy? Is it's stopping, or is that just on my end?
No, you're good.
Everything looks good. Okay. Just
yeah, it might just be on your end. You're clear great. Though. Your picture's good.
Good.
Everything's good to go.
Awesome. Great.
So I guess just start out. Maybe tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, is this something that you do? Is this a hobby of yours, or like, what's your background?
Mm-hmm. My background is my BS is in aerospace engineering. I came to journalism in a very unusual way. So I do have some aviation background as far as knowledge and expertise, and most of my journalism reporting is video journalism, all freelance. But when news stories come along that involve aircraft, potentially related to some sort of event, I go back and look at the flight data and through ADSB. Quick background, ADSB is basically a transponder that all aircraft nowadays need to have on, except for certain circumstances if you're flying really low or out in the country or something like that. But pretty much most aircraft are required to have this transponder on. And what it does is it independently sends out a broadcast with some really basic data points like location, speed, altitude, if the aircraft has a call sign, hex code. That's a more technical thing where it's tied to what the transmitter is. And so aircraft are just passively sending out this information. And like I said, it's not encrypted. This is intended to be public information. Anyone can actually buy an antenna system and pick up these broadcasts and feed them to websites and apps and services that will show the data off of the antenna on your house. So there's a particular website. It's called adsbexchange.com. I highly recommend it. I use it almost exclusively. And what's special about it is that anyone can feed their data from their receiver to the system. And so it's just a massive collection of data in real time that's being posted. So for any of the viewers out there, I highly recommend that. Websites and apps like Flight Aware, Plane Finder, uh, aircraft owners can go to them and pay them to remove their aircraft from it. But with this crowdsourced resource with adsbexchange.com, you bypass that. No one can block that. So that's sort of my go-to. And very importantly, they have a historical feature where you can go back and set a date and a time, pick your location, and then do a replay. You can do it in real time or speed it up 2 times, so like 100 times. So planes are zipping all over the map. And that's what I used to do this. So my first flight tracking story was about Jeffrey Epstein. Starting in about 2017, I started tracking through these services, tracking his aircraft. And I created a database with that. Every time there was a flight, I would actually get a notification on my phone that Jeffrey Epstein's aircraft just took off or just landed. I'd get those two types of notifications, and I would just add it to my database. And after using this, I ended up discovering it's a different subject, but it's interesting, kind of related. I ended up discovering a flight that Jeffrey Epstein had made to Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, on Election Day 2016. His aircraft arrived there the day before the election in the US and it left the day after. Uh, that was an unknown flight. Business Insider published a report based on my findings with that. And it actually turned out that Jeff Bezos was in Saudi Arabia around that time also. Apparently, MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, the leader of Saudi Arabia, was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. So it was the only time Epstein's aircraft was ever in the Middle East in all of the years tracking him. So that's kind of a side story if people want to look into, maybe why was Jeffrey Epstein in Riyadh on Election Day?
Is
That's
that
something
the
you can investigate.
is that the same flight that that Bill Clinton was supposedly on?
I'm not aware of that. I'm not
Okay,
aware of
that
that.
might be a second one I was thinking about. I know there
Okay.
was one where him and Epstein both went on. And I thought that was in the Middle East, but I could be wrong on
Okay.
that.
Okay. Okay. Yep. So that was a big deal with me. It led to some investigation of actually my alma mater, the University of Arizona, because his flight had traveled to Tucson, and that was always a very curious thing to me. And so I did some writing on that. People can go to my website. I think that's linked on my X account, and read stories about that. So, I have that kind of experience with flight tracking, very extensive. It took a long time. I was able to obtain raw data with that. And then whenever there's a news event where potentially flights are interesting regarding a story, I'll go back to this ADSB Exchange radar view and just look at I'll start it 3 hours before the event, and I'll just replay it, and I will just look for anything unusual. Now, one thing is that there are a lot of people out there that do these, look at these flight tracking services, and they look at these radar views. And I have to say, it really takes a lot of experience to get good with understanding what you're seeing and how every aircraft is sort of like has its own personality type. And after you put in hours and hours of doing this, you kind of get a sense for what's going on in the air. So I'll before some event, if it's a mass shooting, anything like that, I'll start the replay hours before, and I'll watch. And if I see something interesting, I'll look into it further. Most of the time, the aircraft activity is very routine. Police helicopters, police fixed wing aircraft flying over the scene. So usually I don't find anything unusual, but with this Charlie Kirk assassination, that was a real critical thing for me to go through and look at that. And this is one of those times where I found something that was very extremely unusual, very notable, and really should be talked about a lot more. So that's kind of how I came to this story.
Okay. I'll go ahead. Let's go ahead and pull up. You want to? Let's go. Okay. Let's go ahead and pull up your map here first. I guess you can kind of talk about the plane. Well, actually, you can kind of talk about well, however you first discovered this and.
Sure. So this is the ADSBexchange.com website, the one I recommend everyone to use as their primary. And this is their historical view. So you can possibly see on the bottom there the date. You can set that, the time, the playback speed. And this is what I did. I centered the map on that area and just hit go and watched what all the aircraft around there were doing. And so once I isolated this unusual flight, I set up the controls that show you in blue the entirety of that flight track. So when I saw that this rake pattern, so to speak, centered on or very close to the center of the campus, that's what really jumped out as possibly, questioning whether this flight was possibly related to it. So what I did there with the red lines you see is I'm superimposing those red lines over that blue flight track. And the length of each line is approximately the run, the length of that run as the aircraft flew in this rake pattern. It would fly in one direction, you can see to the northeast. It started from the southwest, headed northeast. You could see a white arrow. Those white arrows show you the direction of travel. So the plane approached from the southwest, flew northeast, and every time the aircraft was at about the midpoint, I marked that with a green circle there. So those are the approximate midpoints of each pass. And then the plane would do a U-turn, fly the other direction, and then just create this rake pattern. In this particular situation, there were 5 passes as part of this mission, is what I'll call it, this particular mission here. An interesting thing we can go into later is that if you see on the left side in the upper left corner in the background, you'll also see the blue flight path with a similar rake pattern. That particular mission was centered on Camp Williams, which is a Utah National Guard base. It's a training base. And that flight happened right before, or that mission happened right before the mission that flew over UVU. Immediately after the plane was done over at, or appeared to be done, whatever it was doing. I don't know if it was going to do more and it was some sort of in-flight, they changed their mind and wanted to go over to the UVU mission area. I don't know. But there were, I believe, 4, maybe 5 passes over Camp Williams, and the
And
midpoint.
that's
Yes,
actually important too, because that would actually show that most likely they're contracted with the U.S. military.
correct. This particular company, the owner of the aircraft, they have, and we have some more slides from their website, take information, screenshots taken from the company who owns the plane, their website. They do work. They work in a variety of industries. They deal with federal governments, state governments, foreign governments, gas and mapping for gas pipelines, electrical utilities, things like that. So there are a lot of industries that are apart from government that this company will work with. So anyone that needs some kind of aerial survey, whether that be photographs, GIS, also LiDAR. They provide a multitude of services that are useful depending on the particular application. LiDAR is used in forestry. When I look back at previous flight tracks for this aircraft, it looked like there might be some missions that they were running for potentially the Forest Service. They're common. They have they commonly have needs for this kind of data. So it's right off the bat, it's clear that this company has lasting relationships with governments of all types, including foreign. So seeing the aircraft fly over Camp Williams, there's nothing unusual about that. The military needs a look at what they're doing over bases all the time, whether that's for planning, if they're going to build something, change something. Maybe it's related to military maneuvers or exercises. So we already know that would be a typical type of mission for them to do over the Utah National Guard training base there. So I'm not implying that particular mission, even though it was part of the same flight, I'm not implying that particular mission was somehow related to the UVU flight. But it is interesting, and it's important to know for context.
And to play devil's advocate, the even the UVU flight on its own is not necessarily suspicious, except
Yes.
for when you put it on the exact day around the exact same time as the Charlie Kirk thing. Yeah, when
Right.
you put it in context with that, then it's like, okay, well, I
Right.
find that, as Erica Kirk herself said, I don't believe in coincidences. So
Okay.
that to me would be a pretty huge coincidence if they just happen to schedule that UVU imaging run or whatever, just completely unrelated to what's going on.
Right. Right. It is entirely possible that this is a coincidence. It's possible that this was related to a survey of Interstate 15, which runs near the campus. It would be typical for state governments with highways, urban development, very typical for state governments to need these services. But the interesting thing, though, is that when you look at the original image that shows the big picture, the midpoints of each pass were very close to the. It'll be the first one.
There you
The
go.
midpoints are very, very close to the campus.
And
But
the
that is
midpoints,
close. Yeah.
obviously, if you were going to do a mission or whatever your intended target is, would be around the midpoint of what you're looking for, generally.
Generally speaking, yes, yes. So you get a complete picture of it, and you can see on this map, Utah Valley University is highlighted there, and I have a blue star right where the university is, so you can see where the university is in relation to those midpoints. So it's right there. So it's entirely possible that this was a state contract. Uh, uh, for something totally unrelated. And one of the really important things for me, first of all, was seeing this pattern. The flight path, when you look at the altitude, it is very consistent with a photography mission. LiDAR missions have sort of a different look to them, a different type of rake sort of pattern, or racetracks, or just basically going around in circles. So every type of imagery or data collection goal dictates a different type of flight pattern during the survey. So this rake pattern is consistent with a photogrammetry mission. So initially, my first thought is, okay, well, this is a flight path that could very well be a photo reconnaissance flight. My first question is, are there photos? Was this a dry run? Were they just doing it for that? It could be, as far as coincidences, it could be that a pilot happened to have a relative who was a student there and maybe wanted to snap some pictures. So I really have no set theory on what it was doing. I just don't have the information. I'd love to have that. I'm trying to find that. But like I said, I want to emphasize that this could be a coincidence. But there's a lot of interesting aspects to this that come into play. And first of all, um, even if you don't look at who ordered the flight, why the flight was there, if the photos exist, that's very, very important information. It would show a snapshot of the entire area, not just the campus, but for miles in each direction, what's going on. So in a way, why it's there is not really the primary question. The primary question is, does this bombshell evidence potentially exist? Is it there? And then I kind of am more interested in, okay, why is it there? But if we can see photos of this, it wouldn't matter if they were looking for a lost dog. The photos themselves are what have value in this investigation. And so I reported on this. I included, it's in my thread, original thread from September 15th, a few days after Charlie was assassinated. And I'm really just posing questions. In this report, this thread was intended to get other people to look into it, other people with more expertise on aerial surveillance and reconnaissance. Uh, just your viewers, average everyday people that could potentially look into it and find something interesting. So that was my intention from the beginning, is to put it out there. It's clearly an important thing. Maybe someone else can investigate this further and find something. So that's why I'm really happy to be on your podcast, to get the story out there, because I was a little disappointed when I first put it out that it didn't get more attention, because it's clearly such an important issue. But there were a lot of flight tracking stories at the time.
Yeah, I noticed you
So much
had it out
news.
weeks before I even found it.
Yeah, exactly. So sort of the next step in the story was, I published this on TikTok, and someone pointed me to an account that supposedly had taken pictures on this flight. And so I went to it, and from first glance, it looked like it checked out. The way the photos were taken, from the angles that they were taken, it looked to me like this might be legitimate. So I don't know who this account is. It's an anonymous account on TikTok, but they were a new account. The only thing they posted was photos that were claimed to be from this flight. The poster there, he said, or she said, I don't know anything. I bet I've actually communicated with that account. I don't know who it is, anything about their identity whatsoever. I just
So
knew that I
the
was talking. Yeah.
so yeah, the account, I found them as well on TikTok, and that account, if you look at their account, they don't have anything previously posted. They're a new account. I mean, that's the only thing they posted was specifically just these pictures. Uh, which we'll show you here in a minute. But all these pictures here, which are allegedly from the flight here that Eric
Hmm.
found.
And one
Um,
thing is, I see these images, and my first thought is these could be totally unrelated. It could be have nothing to do with this. This person could be making it up. But when you look at the photos, you see things that are consistent with that event. You see a crowd starting to develop. You see the tent that Charlie was speaking under when he was
the
shot.
exact
So
same cars that are in the parking lot, and also Charlie's car and the van that Steve and I have been talking about. Everything is all
okay.
here. It all lines up.
Okay. Yeah. So that was an immediate sort of confirmation that these images were legitimate. But I wanted to take it a step further and use the shadows to determine the time, approximate time that the photos were taken. That's a fairly difficult process because you need to know what the measurements are on the ground, as close as you can get. So I use Google Earth to their sort of mapping tool where you can chart out distances and draw lines and see how long something is. Um, I used that, and in particular, I used a one particular photo in that whole set showed the corner of the roof that the alleged shooter jumped off of. Everyone's seen this security camera footage. That's the photo. Yeah, there's one in there. It's sort of a white top to the building. I just saw it. Um,
Oh, let
uh,
me go back, see if I can find it for you. Is it that one or no? It's
no,
there.
that one. That one.
Yep,
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that white.
Oop,
So
hold on.
that
Oop, let me hit pause here so it doesn't go away. There you go.
Okay, so this was a photo that was clearly important because this is the corner of the building that a person jumped off of. So it's a very critical spot in this investigation. And it just so happened that the way the shadows line up, it's much easy. It was much easier for me to come up with distances and angles. And so I did a lot of geometry. And one of the other slides shows some of my work with that. I intend to publish that.
Which one?
Um,
Which one do you want me to put up here?
it's that same corner, but even more zoomed in, and you'll see a few blue lines there. There you go.
This one.
Yes, yes. So I had sort of benchmark distances, like one line I knew was 30 feet or something like that. And that's how I was able to sort of map on the ground where these shadows were in relation to the building corner there. And I
And let
use
me
that
just stop you for
information.
one
Sure.
second.
Yes.
Now, this is important because there are some people that have said that, oh, well, these look fake because the shadow doesn't look right or whatever. And what he is doing, what he's proving here is no, it's 100% accurate. He's measured all this, and you can tell. So
Right, right. So it involved a lot of trigonometry, and with my math background, that was easy to do. And so, okay, so I got the geometry of the shadow. I figured that out. Well, now my next task was to figure out where the sun was. The shadow basically will tell you the angles that you calculate. It'll tell you based on the azimuth, which is sort of your left to right angle, and elevation, how the angle that the sun is in the sky. So basically, where is the sun pointing from? So the math was able to show me based on the shadow what angle that sun was, where that sun was in space at that specific time. And one of the slides I uploaded or sent to you is a screenshot of an app I used to find out that right there. There we go. I used the corner of that building. That was what sort of created the boundary conditions for me to be able to do the math. I was able to find the direction of the sun rays. You see them a bunch of diagonal lines. That's the direction the sun is shining from. You can see what time of day it is around the bottom of that corner, or around it, a semicircle where the sun rose, where it's set. And I didn't base it on just this image. There's another feature in the app that allows you to set a specific time. So I went to the app with this solar app with the um, altitude and azimuth determined by my calculations from the shadow. So I entered those independently, the azimuth and altitude, what the figure I got from analyzing the photo, what that angle was. And then I looked at what time it was that the sun was at, known for a fact to be at that angle. So the azimuth determined a time. Now, of course, there's error built into this as far as distances and the image process, image analysis. It's not going to be perfect. My work is definitely not going to be perfect without being right there and taking very detailed measurements. But I had the tools available to get uh, uh,
Pretty damn close.
pretty close. And so I came up with a time based on the elevation and based on the azimuth. And those two times, I forget what the exact times those were, um, lined
I
up.
think you said
um,
one was 11:35. I think.
Exactly. Yeah, it was very close, and so that confirmed that the photo was taken around that time. These data points in the time were a very short period of time between them. So that was important to me because yes, the photos that show the context, like you said, I didn't even know that Charlie's vehicle there, the
Yep.
crowd, of course, that information, that qualitative information showed us that these images were legitimate. But I wanted to take it a step further and bring some math into the picture to do further confirmation of that. Now, this similar sort of process with the shadows can be done to all of the photos. It's just some are going to be more difficult to do this kind of analysis than others. So one of the
This is
other
amazing. This kind of technology exists. I'll tell you that.
it is,
For
it
you to be able
is.
to figure it out and do all the calculations and stuff, kudos to you, man. That's definitely. I could tell you put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to emphasize this is all something that anyone can do with a little bit of math and just clever use of apps like this solar tracker app. There's a multitude of these apps. I'm sure they're web-based tools. I just have experience with this one, so I went to it. But this is the kind of investigation that anyone can do, and it's one of those things where your work speaks for itself. If you can show how you did it, and if it's robust, the assumptions you made and all of that, it doesn't really matter who you are. If the science and the math is stands on its own, then that's all that really matters. So I really encourage your audience to figure out ways that they can investigate things with their own knowledge that they have or something that they can bring to the table. In my case, it was the ability to look at the sun data. It might be something different for someone else, but there's nothing what I've done here that couldn't be done by anyone. Now, this particular one you pulled up is a very important one because what I did was I took that same image that we saw there that we were working with that shows the corner, that shows the shadows. I took that image and estimated a line of sight that the camera was pointing, the direction the camera was pointing, and I lined up sort of buildings to sort of determine what that line of sight was. And so in this image that you see, first of all, the blue lines are the flight path. That's the rake pattern. You'll see a whole lot of text on the screen. And what those are in reference to, this is a feature you can turn on and off in ADS-B Exchange in their radar viewers or on their live view of air traffic around the world. So what that does is it shows you pings. Those are individual pings that the aircraft put off as it traveled, and it shows like the time, the altitude, the time of the ping, the current altitude, speed. I think it just shows time and yeah. So the time was really critical for me in this case. So once I knew the line of sight, I knew what I was looking at. So I drew in there a little black star where the campus is. And so since I had a line of sight, I was able to draw a line at that proper angle and extended it. I knew what direction the photo was being taken from. It was looking from the north to the south, roughly. And so I extended that line of sight to the north that you see there, that red line. And I was looking for points at which the flight path coincided with that line of sight in red. And as you could see in this, there are two. So there are only two passes that aircraft did at which that photo was taken. It had to be one of those two passes. And if you look at the one that's closest to the university, um, the timing is earlier. But if you look at the timing of that based on those pings of where the line of sight crosses the flight path, it's in yellow. I mark that in yellow. And it just so happens that that time coincides with the time that I derived based on the altitude and azimuth of the sun based on the shadow analysis. So that time right there coincides. I think that particular one coincides within seconds of one of those other data points. And I also estimated based on the geometry of the photo, the approximate sort of look down angle that the camera was pointed when the photo was taken. And I knew the altitude of, or the elevation of the university. I knew the altitude of the aircraft, and I was able to come up with what that downward looking angle would be. And that lined up also with the image, the information that's provided by the image. So now I have three data points that pretty much confirm that this photo was the exact photo and the exact location that the aircraft took the photo. So it was more confirmation using technical means this time instead of those qualitative means by looking at the crowd and saying, yeah, well, this is clearly a crowd that's starting to assemble before the event. So like I said, this exact process I did could be done to any of the photos. It's just a matter of difficulty. Certain photos are going to be a little bit harder to analyze the shadow. So that was a big step right there. That confirmed that this photo set was legitimate, that it was true.
That's amazing. Not only were you able to confirm that the photos are absolutely legit, but you were even able to determine what pass and at what time these photos were taken. That's
But
amazing.
and just to be clear, I just did this for this one photo, but
It
yeah,
can be done for all of them, though, as you're
it
saying,
could,
right?
yeah, it could, but a
So
lot of
for
those, yeah.
example, if we have like like the people you sleuths out there, if you look at stuff and you zoom in on them and you find certain landmarks, certain things, certain people,
Mhm.
or like if you spot something suspicious, we can actually go back at that picture and look at the exact
Yes.
time and date. Like say like the TMZ video or whatever. Like if there's a time that we know that's within this range of when this plane was in the air, we could actually go back and look at those pictures and see whether that lines up with this, and we may be able to get see them on these pictures, which would be amazing.
Right. And anyone can feel free to reach out to us if they see anything, and then I can kind of go back and do that. That's a great idea. I love that. And then try to figure out, okay, let's look into this particular photo a little more. And the main reason I thought that this was such an important story is that these sorts of photo recon surveys are very detailed, and so I knew that if these photos exist, they could totally blow open this investigation into a new direction. So the person who posted the leaked the photos on
Yeah, let's
TikTok,
get to that. You were able. I
yeah.
actually reached out to them myself. They never responded to me. But Eric
Mhm.
here, he actually was able to get a hold of them. So let's. I'll let him tell you what they had to
Sure.
say.
Sure. There's not a whole lot I can talk about because some of this conversation was off the record. But I can say that this person was, concerned about releasing these images, obviously for their job. This person has access to this. I knew it was likely professional. So that didn't surprise me at all that this person was very skittish about talking to me. But some of the things I can say are that um, there are probably other people out there that have access to these images. It's a little strange to me that anyone would have this if there was something suspicious about this, but nobody's perfect, and if this was somehow involved, and I'm not saying it was, but if it was involved with the assassination, you'd think they would have been a little more secure. So that maybe it wasn't related. Maybe it was just random, and so we still don't know. We still don't know
Yeah, I
who
mean,
ordered it
none
and
of
all
us
that.
really know for sure. All we have
Yeah,
is, our
yeah.
suspicion based on the evidence we've seen so far.
Right, right. And so this person clearly had access to these. This person was motivated to put these out there because they recognized right away that this mission was done over UVU, so close to it, and so they it was more of ideological reasons for
They knew
posting those
something
photos.
wasn't right, and they knew they
Right.
had information that may be able to help set the record straight one way or the other.
Exactly, and if they weren't willing to leak all the images, at least they were able to prove that the images do exist and that photos were in fact taken, which answered the first question I had from the very beginning. So yeah, this person stopped talking to me, which isn't surprising. This is a very sensitive topic. They're concerned about their, work safety and all that, so their job
Oh, I'm
safety.
sure.
So yeah, so hopefully this person will come back and leak more images, or it will inspire someone else who's had access to the images to release them. Uh, and something I want to point out too is for a photo recon mission like this, there were likely hundreds and hundreds of photos taken. So when you add all of that up, that is absolutely critical information related to this investigation. Uh,
Especially
it-
time frame wise,
mhm.
being it's right in that critical time, right before the event when their alleged suspect would be obviously walking through the neighborhood, walking up and going on the roof and all that. So you would be able to see that on these photographs
Right,
if
and
that were the
something
case.
exactly, and something that's also important to know is that these images that you could see, it's about a photo set of about 25 images that were posted on TikTok, and I also posted them in an update to my original thread, so anyone can go to X and see these images. These images that you're looking at are not the full resolution images.
Yeah,
So whatever is out there, the original images are probably much more detailed. And those images are already fairly detailed. You could see a lot of detail in them, but the originals are actually even higher resolution. For all I know, you can spot faces in those original images.
potentially,
So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we know
They're
now
very
that there were
important.
exactly. We know this was not a dry run. We know that photos were taken, and so that means that very, very important. Some of the most important evidence in the entire investigation. We know that it exists. We've proven that it exists. It's just a matter of, can the public see this, or has law enforcement, do they have these images on lockdown? But like I said, someone did leak them, and it's possible that they'll come out. I'm trying to figure out who the customer or client was for this particular flight, if there was one. We
Yeah, I
don't
was going to
know.
ask you that.
Yeah,
The guy you spoke with, he didn't clarify. He wasn't able to tell
no,
you that, correct?
no. He didn't want to tell me what company he worked for. He didn't want to tell me any details of how specifically he got access to these images. So anyone out there that's looking to investigate this further should really center on who ordered that flight, who were potential customers or people who asked it. Because the way this company works is this company is MARC Inc. I believe they're based in this Mississippi, or definitely in the South. They are a contractor. They just provide the imagery services. They have, as you could see on the website, LiDAR systems available in their planes. And so really they have clients come to them that say, go out there and shoot these images, collect this data, and then hand it over to us as the client, and so who knows at this point who the client was or who it was that decided to do this. One of the things you pointed out is that one of the services that this company provides is rapid response. So it's entirely possible that these aircraft can do in-flight retaskings. They could be working on one thing and decide, let's go fly somewhere else.
Yeah,
It's
I think
possible. Yeah.
I think the company that hired them is critical. I think
Yes.
that we need to know that information, because that is critical information that will tell us whether, who's involved and who ordered this flight and what
Hmm.
their
Hmm.
motives are and where they
Exactly.
fall in the broader context of all the evidence we've found so far.
Right, and
Um,
I argue for the full release of these images. None of these images
Absolutely.
were this isn't like surveillance images that were taken through surreptitious means where it's very sensitive as far as evidence. These were photos taken from public airspace, and it's
Of
totally
public
neutral
property too.
of public property. Exactly, exactly. There's no
And on
spying
top of
going
that,
on.
there's a great public interest in this, that this is probably as high profile, if not more high profile, than JFK assassination. I mean,
Right,
this is
right.
a huge deal. Like
And
these photos need to be publicized. And
right.
like he said, the company is Mark Incorporated. We definitely need to put pressure on them. I've actually reached out and emailed them myself,
Mhm,
asking them for a statement to clarify, what the what their involvement was, and to kind of give us some details. And they never responded to me.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
but
I yeah.
I would implore that whoever, like, if you have access to these photos and can release them on your own, please do it. If you want to remain anonymous, you can do that too. Contact me. I will keep you anonymous. I'm sure Eric will probably do the same.
Yes.
Um, and in the meantime, for anybody else, we need to apply pressure to this company. Everybody should be, on top of, emailing them. They have email. They have a phone there. You can call them. Um,
Mhm,
and we need to, the FBI. I'd like to know whether they contacted them, if they're aware of these. I'm
mhm.
sure the FBI probably hasn't contacted you yet, have they?
No, no, no. I've just there's I don't think there's that much reason to, I mean, really, this all of my reporting, this isn't like insider information. It's not like it's coming from me having a source at the company or something like that. It's nothing like that. This whole thing started with just easy to obtain information from the internet. So, yeah.
And another thing that like we were talking before, a little bit before the live, is we think one of the reasons why it didn't get very much attention at first is because it kind of got lopped into all the planes, because there was a bunch of different suspicious flights over UVU that day.
Mhm,
You had the initial one, which was that beauty company or whatever, which you know turned its transponder off or whatever.
mhm.
Um, and I'll let Eric actually investigated that
Yes.
one too, if he wants to give some more details about that, because he actually he says that is not suspicious at all what they did. So I'll let him point
Right.
that out.
Right, right. So I saw that story initially. It got a lot of traction on social media, especially TikTok. And I looked into that, and that flight seemed totally normal. Uh, this is an example of where having expertise with knowing what you're looking at with ADSB is really important, because if you don't know typical aircraft behavior, how these systems work for viewing the aircraft, you'll see things that look suspicious but actually aren't. So a particular the story that got very popular, that aircraft, the transponder turned off. It's likely actually that the transponder didn't turn off. It just went into an area with low coverage, where the public doesn't have these antennas up in a remote area. So after looking into that, to me, it looked like it was an entirely normal thing. You'll see aircraft drop in and drop out all the time. If people want to go to the website right now and just peruse it, you'll pretty quickly, if you just start spending some time looking at it, you'll see how aircraft will be visible and then they'll drop out, especially over rural areas.
So
like
that area, you're saying that's a normal thing to happen for that area?
Yes. Yeah, it's
Okay.
normal. Now, I have heard about, I haven't looked into it in detail, but I have heard about aircraft that were under investigation related to the Egyptian government, I believe. I don't know anything about that. I haven't looked into that. I really should. But maybe you know more about that. But yeah, so the people, there are people out there, a few accounts that I should mention later on, that do a lot of flight tracking and reporting, and they're really great sources for commentary on flight tracking stories. They're good to tag in if you see something that's interesting, and they'll respond to it. They got on it pretty quick, and so there was sort of a set of voices out there saying that this was debunked, and then word kind of got around that it was essentially debunked. Not that that person who originally broke that was, intending to mislead or anything. I think it was just a case of not really knowing how the ADSB system works. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, the as far as the military aircraft are concerned, there are 5 separate Egyptian military, aircraft that are related that are owned by the Egyptian government, tied to the Egyptian military.
Okay.
Candace exposed 3 of them on her channel, and then I put out another 2 that I found like a day or 2 afterwards.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay.
I'll let her just everybody go follow Candace as well, because she's just crushing it. Like, she's the only one that's a really big voice that's putting her neck out and investigating this, and she's kind of leading the charge for us. So everybody definitely go follow her. But I'll just let her play a few minutes here of her talking about those planes, just to give you an idea about them.
I knew it. I didn't know it, but I knew it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I know it. There were some Egyptian military men that were on the ground on September 10th in Utah on the day of Charlie Kirk's assassination. And we now need to demand that they publicly release details of who those individuals were and why they were there. The biggest anomaly that has happened is this kind of foreign angle. Like, right away, they just got out in front of it and were like, there's nothing to see here. And we discovered, and I broke the story, that there was actually a 3rd plane, which I found to be quite odd. I reported on it, and the Zionists immediately seemed, to me, too panicked, right? They issued what I describe as a false debunking regarding the point that I was making. What they do in circumstances like that is, when you say something that's really big, they focus on something really small and inconsequential in terms of time. Oh,
let me get to when she's actually talking about the. Okay, here we are. I think we
only year, and both times it was in the lead up, in the weeks leading up to Charlie Kirk's assassination. Okay.
Yeah. So
here is that.
Here's another thing. These planes were not only were they over UVU, but they were actually following Charlie Kirk around and turning point from event to event. So it wasn't just UVU. These planes would suspiciously show up at every city right before Charlie Kirk was speaking.
Okay.
Which is very, very suspect.
Into this. Yeah, I really need to look into this now. Any of your viewers, feel free to message me on X, and if you have any links or anything like that about these, please feel free to send, because I want to look into this further. That's really
Yeah,
interesting.
I would love you to, and then have you back on the show, and we could talk about, if you found anything on it.
A plane. The tail number you can see here is SUBTT. And this is a screenshot again from flight radar. Now, of course, when I pointed out that this foreign military plane arrived on September 4th, so 6 days before, into Provo, Utah, and departed 6 days later on September 10th, they ignored the huge substance of this, which is, why is this Egyptian military plane here in the middle of Utah? Instead, they said, oh, she made a time zone mistake, like as if I'm on flight radar every day, accustomed to reading the data here. Yeah, I thought that I was looking at mountain time, like local time on flight radar. As Mark just explained, no, they do it according to universal time. Okay, big deal. Like, actually, big deal.
Yeah, like you said, you gotta know what you're doing when it comes to, like, that flight radar stuff. Like, you've been doing it a while. You know exactly about the time frame. You know how things work and what they mean. And somebody like Candace or myself, we don't necessarily know that. So they chose to pick on a very small thing like the time, because she got the universal time mistaken with the time on the ground there. But anyway, so I'll play a few more minutes.
Then I saw that the one random Twitter story, this has been debunked. It as nothing. Anytime.
I'm trying to get to where she's actually going over because she brings out the board again with everything.
They ran with plane left onto.
Come on now, where you at?
Routine service.
I thought she did anyway.
I don't understand. We can go back as far.
Okay,
as
yeah, here we go.
December. You can see November in 2022. We can go back as far as November and December of that year. We can see that it routinely flies through Paris. And I noticed, and you can take your time to freeze this and go through everything, because I'm not going to read it all. I noticed that the trend here is that it always flies to an Air Force base. Okay. Look in 2025. If you look under 2025, you will see this is what it did. It went from September 4th, it went from Cairo to Paris to France to Minot, North Dakota. On September 10th, it departed Provo. I think I'm missing one here, right? It departed. That's right. September 10th, it departed Provo, Utah at 7:14 a.m. local time. Okay. And I am telling you that aboard that plane, it was not the same people that got onto that plane. Okay. That is what I am told by this individual. She is saying that what actually took place was that they had some Egyptian military subcontractors person that she knows intimately. I would not have taken this to the bank. I had to really walk her through having the courage to do this any further. And I am certain that this happened.
And to that point, actually, I was able to corroborate what she was saying, because I found, where is it at? I actually found, is it this? Okay, yeah, this one right here. I was actually, I had a source that reached out to me that worked at the building there at the airport that does like servicing or whatever, and they were actually able to corroborate this with me, what she was saying about there were Egyptian military contractors on that plane, and some of them, all of them that came didn't leave. So some of them stayed or went on a different plane or something, but they all all of them that got off the plane did not get back on the plane, which is really weird.
Okay. Okay. So one real quick thing I want to interject here is that from what I've heard so far, is that it's important to keep in mind that the United States has very strong military relationships with the state of Egypt. In fact, coincidentally, last night I was watching videos of U.S. Air Force fighter jets in mock dogfights with Egyptian fighter jets. So we do a lot of exercises with Egypt. The idea that an Egyptian military plane would be visiting American Air Force bases or other military bases that wouldn't surprise me at all. In fact, I would think it would be strange if you didn't see things like that. The high level people, maybe officials, some general in the Egyptian Air Force coming out to the US to foster better ties, or maybe there's some sort of patrol that the United States and Egypt might collaborate on. So people should just keep that in mind.
I actually was able to track it down to what I believe it was. It was connected to this Operation Bright Star, Bright Star 25, Exercise Bright Star 25.
Okay.
And most of the stuff they do is actually overseas in Egypt.
Okay.
But some of the stuff, especially there's one thing in particular that I got pictures of, which was especially when you've come to find out that Candace said some of the people that went on the plane didn't get off the plane. There were different. There were less people. And one of the
yeah, just real quick. I would urge anyone who works at that airport that saw anything to come out and, whether it's anonymously or publicly, talk more about what you're talking about. People maybe on the ground saw something.
Exactly. But they one of the things that they do, and it's real funny when I'm trying to find it. I don't know if I could find it here or not, but where I tracked it was one of the pictures that they showed of this, the crew. I think it might be. What they do is they parachute life-saving stuff or whatever. It's called showcasing life-saving skills in combat, or no, what's damn it, there's one post in particular. I even got pictures of it. I'm trying to see if I can find that post. I thought I had that ready, but maybe not. Was it this one? No, not that one. Just give me a second here. I would kind of like to find it to show people what I'm talking about.
Through Paris, and I noticed, and you can take your time.
If I can't, you guys can just look, through my. I have all of my every Charlie Kirk thing that I've done is in my highlights tab on my profile, so you can always go there and look.
Year before the assassination.
Okay, so I don't have it right now, but if you go through it, you can look and see. But long story short, though, is there were 5 Egyptian military planes there, and we were able to track some of the stuff down, and you can read my post. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't remember a lot of it, and I don't want to put misinformation out there. So just go read my post, or Google what Candace has said about it. But there were definitely that's why this story kind of got buried in the beginning, is because it kind of got lopped into that, and people didn't realize that it was multiple angles. I mean, not only you have all the Egyptian military jets, which are one whole narrative, one angle, one story, and then you have the cosmetic plane with the transponder. Watch out, cat. Which was the another story, and then you have the one that you found that was doing
Mhm.
all the LiDAR and satellite imagery, which is the whole third angle that we didn't,
Mhm. Mhm. And I would something that was frustrating was that so when that transponder story came out and it started to get debunked, the fact that it was debunked uh, uh, started to spread, and that kind of started to make, I think, a lot of viewers think, oh well, every flight tracking story is BS. Every flight tracking story is inaccurate or missing something out. And that's really a shame because every particular flight tracking story needs to be treated individually, and verified individually. And I really would hate if people, if an erroneous story comes out. I see them all the time. I said there are accounts that all they do is post flight tracking stuff, and it's complete disinformation. I mean, the space of flight tracking is really clogged with a lot of bad information. And that makes these kind of stories harder to come out because people will be very quick to dismiss anything related to this kind of flight tracking. So this is what I saw was very interesting. I'll definitely follow your links and look that up. And like I said, if anyone else has links, feel free to send them to me. I'll definitely be looking into this angle.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, in particular, this last one here, this angle, this plane that took all these photographs is very, very critical to this investigation. We have to get these photographs. So again, if somebody has access to them on their own and you can release them, you can either reach out to myself or Eric. We can definitely keep you anonymous, but we need to get those pictures. And at the same
Mhm.
time, we need to apply pressure to this company to make a statement and physically release these so we can kind of nail down why they were there that day.
Mhm. Mhm.
And also the pictures themselves are going to be critical in helping to either corroborate the FBI's story or prove the stuff that we're saying that we believe
Mhm.
happened.
Mhm. I think that would be great. I think it'd be great if we could pressure the company to at least make some sort of statement. Of course, they have sensitive contracts, and they're also a military contractor. So obviously, they're not going to release detailed information. But it would be great if we could pressure them into actually making a statement about this because this is legit. We know their aircraft was there. We know their aircraft took photos, presumably through their cameras. I think it's very important that we get some sort of statement from the company.
I 100% agree. Um, and with that said, is there anything else that you would like to say?
One thing is, I encourage people to look at the images that have been released. I believe it's like 25 of them, and see what you can find. Spend some time looking at it. When I first saw the images, I spent a lot of time looking at the roofs uh, uh, to see if there was anyone there. I didn't find anything, but I don't know anywhere near as much as other people who are investigating this story. So I kind of don't know what I'm looking at, or what I'm looking for. I know what I'm looking at, but I don't know what to look for. And maybe there are people out there that know a lot about what was happening on the ground, and they can look at these images and they have more context. They have more knowledge of what was going on at the time. And maybe one of your viewers can find something that just really is bombshell information. It's totally possible. So I think this is a great example of the democratization of news gathering. The idea that anyone can just collect information from the internet, from verified sources, and put something together. I think it's a great thing that the public can take part in this that you didn't see in past historical assassinations. You just couldn't do any of this. And this is all stuff that anyone can do. And really try to, if anyone's going to do this, really try to focus on what you know for a fact, and try to focus on areas of your own expertise, something that you know in particular. Maybe you're an HVAC person and you know what you're looking at when you see, air conditioning units on these roofs, whatever it may be. Everyone has something some skill or ability or special knowledge that they can use to looking at these photos, even though it's not the full set.
Yeah, I mean, these experts are critical. People like you that can testify exactly to what this means, what you found, and really speak to the technical details of it. Same goes with like in trying to figure out the FBI's 30-06 story and the trajectory of the bullet. All these guys that are experts on YouTube, that are former snipers, former Navy SEALs, and former Army medics and stuff. Like Valhalla, Zeb Boykin, a few other people. All these guys, they bring their experience to it, and and Dr. Chris Martinson, I think his name is. He double PhD. He was able to bring something to it. The Corticus posturing syndrome that Charlie went up in when he was hit. When his showed that his spine was damaged, or his nerve endings or whatever. I mean, all these things matter, and as Candace calls it, the decentralized intelligence agency. I mean, that's what it is. We're basically a decentralized version of the CIA, where the public, we all are investigating this together, and we all are bringing our own expertise to it and looking at certain angles from different aspects, and then we piece it all together and we get the full story. And it's amazing, and I love it. I absolutely love it, and we need more people doing it.
Absolutely, and we need to pressure this company to at least make a statement. One more thing I wanted to add is those two accounts in particular that I was talking about. I highly recommend your viewers follow these accounts on X. They have excellent information. They are absolute experts in their fields with aviation. And the first one is 2 words. You could just search them in X, Evergreen Intel. And the other one is 1 word, the new Area 51. And they post a lot about flight tracking.
Is this the Evergreen Intel? Is that the one right there?
Let me look back at the screen here. Yes, that's it. Evergreen Intel. They are great. They're really fact-based. Person or people behind the account. I'm not sure, but yeah, they have excellent information about aviation. You can find all sorts of flight tracking and analysis, and they cover current events. I mean, they post a lot, and so I recommend that. And I recommend everyone, if you want to do this flight tracking, download an app. I hardly use the apps. I just use the web-based adsbexchange.com. Download or look at that, and just kind of look at the aircraft activity in your area, or pick a city and just watch it. Turn it into a hobby. And when you do that, you will become an expert at learning what you're seeing. And you'll quickly realize that really like 90% of these sensationalized, hey, look what I found on ADSB Exchange, the vast majority are meaningless, really, reports. So I definitely encourage people to do that. It's a really fascinating thing to know what's going on in your area. And I also encourage people to buy their own ADSB systems, antenna receiver systems. I think you can get them. I know you can get them for less than $100. I think the full system, and some websites you can buy them are like $70. So if anyone really gets into this, you can buy that equipment and set it up to passively upload your data to ADSB Exchange and contribute to a crowdfunded source that fills a lot of gaps that apps like FlightAware have. So yeah, that's it. That's
Very
it.
cool. What was that other account that you said?
The new, it's all one word. The new Area 51, numeral 5, numeral 1. There you go.
That one right there?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I would definitely go suggest that you go follow them. He definitely trust these accounts. They have a lot of good information on them here. Also, make sure that you go follow Eric himself. He is at Rosenwald Eric right there.
_ Eric.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, at Rosenwald _ Eric. There's his account and profile there. Go follow him. He's got great threads there with all the information you can check out. Also, you can check my page. I have right here as well. I have all the times. I pretty much summarize what he did, and then I put together a slideshow that actually has. Let me turn the music off. We don't need music, but it actually has I put all the pictures that were released from that plane on a slideshow, so you can just look at them all back to back to back to back like that.
That's great. Oh, and one more thing, I would encourage. I know I talked a little bit about the Jeffrey Epstein flight tracking story. You can follow a link to my webpage on my X account there at the top, and you'll see it's posted on the sidebar. The original flight tracking, Jeffrey Epstein flight tracking story, and then a subsequent one where I looked more into his involvement with Arizona University. So if anyone's interested in looking at that, there's a lot there too. So
Yeah,
feel free to reach
right
out to
here.
me.
Eric Rosenwald Photography.com. Here you go right here. I would definitely highly suggest you guys check out his website. And I'm definitely going to look for that Epstein story because that would be pretty interesting to check out myself. So
sure. Okay, great.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and talking to us. I'm glad we got this information out there. Hopefully more people, there will be other creators now that pick this up and run with it. And now that they know the story is credible and these pictures are real, I hope more people talk about it because we need to apply pressure to this company publicly to get these photos. They're critical to what we need. And we need to find out not only the photos, but we need to find out who commissioned that flight, who the customer was, and why.
Yes, absolutely. And hopefully, I have a feeling we'll have more to talk about. I have a feeling that this isn't the end of it. So I'm really looking forward to any developments that happen with this. I have a feeling
I won't let it die. I know that.
Okay, good.
I'm going to stay on top of it for sure.
Great.
Also, go follow. He was supposed to be my co-host tonight, Stephen Benoon from Israeli News Live on YouTube. He also goes by his surname or pen name at Stephen Denoon, Denoon, on X. That's his handle for X. Go follow him. He was having some computer issues today, so he wasn't able to come on with us, unfortunately. But we'll get him up next time. But yeah, anyway, go follow him as well. So with that being said, like I said, I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you joining me. And we look forward to any updates that you may find on this.
All right. Thank you. And I look forward to speaking with you in the future.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Be sure to come back tomorrow during the day. Myself and Ty Norman, we are not GTM on X and at We Are Not Going to Mars on YouTube. Steve, and I are the ones that initially came up with that BA building shooter location, and but we've been working together on that to kind of track down where the shot came from. But he will be on with me tomorrow. He found some bombshell information when it comes to drones and exactly the company that is responsible, or he believes is responsible for it, and that their ties to a potential shadowy nation overseas. So come back tomorrow. We haven't picked the exact time yet, but it'll be a daytime stream tomorrow for that. And then on Thursday at 9, I also am going to be interviewing the gentleman that was a witness. He actually was. He's a snow removal contractor, and he was there at Timpanogos Regional Hospital when they brought Charlie Kirk's body in that SUV to the hospital. So he was there. He was a witness to it. He saw it all go down. He saw what happened. He saw them pull up, take the body in. He saw a second SUV, what he said looked like Mikey McCoy driving it, which went out back and picked somebody up and then took off suspiciously again. So definitely weird things, and we got some questions to ask him. But he's going to be on with us on Thursday at 9, so that'll be another awesome show for you guys to check out. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's our show for tonight. I appreciate you all being with us. I love you all. I appreciate you all. God bless you. And Eric, you have a great evening.
Thanks. You too.